Hello fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren, you're watching Dreams Books Courage, and today you are going to be seeing quite the book haul. I'm actually filming my November and December book haul, although I should have just filmed one in November because I have too many books to film for this video, but I'm in no way complaining because I am super happy about all of the books I got. This will be a two-part book haul just because it is so big, and I'm going to try to not talk too much about all of these books. So let's go ahead and get into this. So first, I'm just going to be talking about the books that I got in the month of November. The first book I got is Can't Look Away by Donna Cooner. As you can see on the cover, these are screenshots from what looked to be a YouTube video. And that's what really drew me into this book because I definitely love reading about people online and especially on YouTube. And the main character in this book was a fashion and beauty vlogger until her sister gets killed in an accident, and the main character may have indirectly caused the accident. I don't really know much more than that, but it sounds to be kind of a sad book, but I'm sure I can get through it pretty fast, and I'm just excited about this book just because it involves YouTube and vlogging, and it just sounds really interesting. This next book you guys have already seen on my channel, but it is Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. My English teacher was nice enough to give me this book, and it is the first book that I read in the month of January, and I absolutely love this book. It was such an inspirational read about a girl who's only 12, but she's a prodigy, and so she kind of causes a train reaction with kindness, and she's just such an inspirational person, and this was just a great book to start off my year. You guys should all go pick this one up. The next book is the 9th in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, and it is The Long Haul by Jeff Kinney. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this book. It was hilarious. It was probably my favorite of all of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. It was just that good. It made me laugh out loud the entire way through it, and you can usually get through this book in about 2 hours maximum, so it's just a great little funny read. The next book is actually one that I'm currently reading, and it is The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. And this cover is just so shiny and beautiful. It features 12 short stories about Magnus Bane, who is a warlock in the Shadowhunter world. He is funny and outlandish, and I love reading about his character. It's been a while since I've been in the Shadowhunter world, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. Next we have Let It Snow by John Green, Lauren Miracle, and Maureen Johnson. And this features 3 short stories, all centering around the same town, but telling quite different romance stories. I did read this book in the month of December, so I'll leave a link to my December wrap-up if you want to hear more about this one. Next we have Girl Online by Zoe Sugg, who is known as Zoella here on YouTube. And this is about a girl named Penny who uses the alias of Girl Online on her blog. And she talks about romance and just so many other things besides that as well. And she talks about her life on her blog. And this somehow connects to a romance that starts developing within this book with a guy named Noah. I really like watching Zoella here on YouTube, so I'm really interested in what this book has to offer. Next we have 2 books that my mom got me from Barnes & Noble whenever they were having their signed books thing on Black Friday. And so this first one is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. And I've heard great things about this book and about Jenny Han's writing. It's about a girl who writes a letter to every guy she ever loved, but she doesn't ever actually send out those letters until one day they mysteriously disappear and the guys actually receive the letters. So I'm sure a lot of drama happens with that, but I'm really looking forward to reading this book. And the second signed book I got is by Scott Westerfeld, and it is Afterworld. And there's his signature. This story is actually 2 stories that are woven together. And the first story is about a girl, and she's just trying to get her novel published, and it's about the process that she's taking in the publishing world. And the other story within this book is actually her novel, and you're actually reading her fantasy novel mixed with her trying to publish this novel, and I think that's a very interesting concept, and I've never really heard of a book like this one. So now we're getting into the December book haul, and first I'm going to be talking about the 3 books that my boyfriend got me for Christmas. The first one being The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I've never read anything by J.K. Rowling except for the Harry Potter books, of course, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. It's just about a small town and all of the drama that exists there after someone passes away and they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do with his land, and I think just a lot of stuff happens within this novel. It's in a small town, so I'm sure there are a lot of relationships that are going on within it, and I'm sure it also features a lot of drama, so I'm really looking forward to reading this, especially since it's by J.K. Rowling. Next we have 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, and I'm very excited to read this one. I think this is kind of a companion novel to The Kite Runner, and The Kite Runner was actually in my top 14 books of 2014, and I just really enjoy Khaled Hosseini's writing style and how he can take you to a place you never imagined going to. I think this is about two women and one is kind of a mother to the other one. And I think it's just about their lives in Afghanistan and all of the troubles they face, so I'm really excited for this one just because it's by Khaled Hosseini. And the last book he got me is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I read Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson and I really enjoyed that one, so I'm really looking forward to this book. It's of course about Amy and Roger. And what happens to Amy is that her dad passes away, and so her and her mom are planning on moving across the country from California to Connecticut, and Amy is supposed to drive there, but she doesn't really want to drive after her father got into a car accident. So Roger actually drives her across the country, but they decide to take a lot of detours all along the way. And within this book it has pictures like these, and I think it's really interesting, especially since Morgan Matson actually took this road trip herself. So I'm really excited to read more of Morgan Matson's novels. This next book I actually got as a white elephant present, and it's also from my best friend Kaylee, who really enjoyed reading this book, so I'm really excited to read it myself. And it's called It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. And this is about a guy who really wants to be the best at everything, I think. And so he gets into the best high school so then he can get into the best college. And he just gets so stressed at this high school that's super high level. And so he checks himself into a mental hospital because he suffers with depression and suicidal thoughts. And I think a lot of things happen when he gets into that mental hospital. Like, he meets a lot of other characters and I think they just help him cope with everything that's happening in his own life. I know there's also a movie about this book, so I'm really excited to read this and also to watch the movie. And now I have the bulk of this haul, which is from my mom and stepdad, and I just feel so blessed that they got me so many books. So I just want to thank you guys for that, and this is literally the reason why I had to split this video into 2 parts. So I'm just going to show you the first 4 books that I got for Christmas, and then you'll have to watch part 2 for the rest of these books. So the first book is Daily Rituals by Mason Curry, and it's just like it sounds. It talks about daily rituals of artists. So we have scientists and sculptors and filmmakers and philosophers and poets and authors. So many awesome people in this book. It's just a really neat book to get as a Christmas present. And I'm just reading this book daily so then I can just read one person's daily ritual a day and hopefully I can take some stuff away from this. Next we have a Rainbow Rowell book, and that is Attachments. I've heard great things about this book. I know it centers around these 2 girls who email each other, and their emails are definitely inappropriate for work, but the guy who's screening their emails actually falls in love with one of them. So I think it's kind of like a romantic comedy sort of situation. And it sounds really interesting because I read Lane Line by Rainbow Rowell, and I really enjoy her writing style, so I'm excited about this one. This next book is called The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly, and I think this cover is just so interesting. And also the plot of the book, which is about a 12-year-old boy and his mother has just passed away. And so he just hides among his books, and his imagination starts joining his reality, and he ends up in a world of fantasy, and that sounds awesome and very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of us have imagined that happening to ourselves, so I'm really excited about reading a book about it. And so the last book of this book haul, part 1, is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I've been looking forward to reading this book for a long time, so I'm happy that I finally have it in my hands. Honestly, I don't know a lot about this book except that it takes place in a bookstore, and that weird things start happening within this bookstore. And I don't really need to know more because really any novel that has a bookstore in it and that's where most of the setting takes place, then I just definitely want to read it. And I've heard amazing things about this book, so hopefully I'll get around to reading it soon. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love doing book hauls and I know a lot of people like watching book hauls, so hopefully this was an interesting one for you, and make sure to watch out for part 2, which will definitely be coming out very, very soon. And now I'm gonna go get back to reading.